Hi, and welcome to my channel. My name is Chris, and this is Christmas in July. And I have 4 beautiful Christmas decor items that I hope you will love, and I hope it inspires you. And let's get started.
So I've just got this sign that I picked up from the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to start by removing the plastic. I love when they put plastic on instead of the tags on the, or the labels on the piece itself. I don't have to try to scrape that off. And unfortunately, this is one of those shadow boxes that don't have the backing that just comes off. So, and they're nailed in there. And just look for the gap. There's a little bit of gap in there. Find that gap, and then you can just pry it up and it comes up. And then I would definitely remove these nails so they don't cut us. All right, then I'm just going to remove this little flower. And I just picked up some Christmas paper. It's got some musical notes on it. I've used it in the past. Thank goodness I still had some left. And I am going to just trace around this and cut that out.
And then to make this easy peasy, I'm just going to use an Elmer's glue stick and put that all over. Place that scrapbook paper down, use a brayer to smooth it out, and then let it dry.
And then the next thing I'm going to want to do is I want to remove this off the glass. I've just got some professional soak off. It's supposed to even get gel nails and all kinds of coating off. I've used this to get this stuff off in the past, and it works pretty well. I'm just going to pour a little on there, and then just using this little scraping tool.
And it just comes off very easy. And if you need to add any more of that nail polish remover, then you can do that. And then I just like to take that nail polish remover and clean the entire surface with it, just to make sure there's no loose paint stuck on there.
And then I'm just going to take some rubbing alcohol and spray in there. Wipe that down real good.
And inside Cricut Design Space, I went ahead and I designed this image, and I will put a link to that in the description box, and it will take you to Cricut Design Space itself because that's where I have it saved.
And I've got my glass here, and this is the front of the glass. I'm just going to wipe it down with some alcohol, make sure we've got it all clean. Okay, don't know if you can see that, but that is what I got so far. Okay, so I got these lights off of Amazon, and I like them because they have, like, I believe it's 6 or 7 different settings, where they flash or fade or just blink, and I really like that. And I like the small base, and I will try to link these same ones in the description box. If not, I'll put something similar down there. And I'm going to turn mine on because I like to work with them on.
And I found it best just to kind of bunch them up, those lights closer together, just kind of folding them inward. I hope you can see what I'm doing here and understand it. It's kind of hard to explain. And once I do that, I'm going to go ahead and just lightly use some super glue, hot glue, and just glue that to the back of the sign. And then here and there, I'm just going to apply some glue on the front of the sign where I can just kind of press those lights into it. And I'm just pressing where it's just really metal, not the light itself. And I try not to put too much of that glue because I don't want it to melt that wire. And unfortunately, this new glue gun I have only has high temperature. So just be careful when you do that. And then I'm just going to kind of wind it around where I think it's going to look good. I'll kind of place the image itself on top every now and then, just to kind of make sure I'm in the center of it. And I think it ends up turning out pretty good. You'll see here in just a moment. And then I'm just going to take some snow that I picked up from the Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to place a little bit of it inside that frame and then place the backing on top of it.
You know, I did forget to scrape my paper off, but that's okay. That might make it fit in there without me having to glue. Yep, just pop it right back in there. And then you have the prettiest light up decor for Christmas.
And it's easy to turn on and off since that switch is on the back of it.
I hope you guys like that one. Let me know in the comments, what did you think about the Oh Christmas Tree sign? On this one, I've got some images that I printed off of Creative Fabrica, which I will link in the description box below. So I'm just going to first start by cutting out my images. And I printed this on just regular tissue paper from the Dollar Tree. Then I have to turn my overhead fan off. All right, I've got this bottle cap. It's from Dollar Tree. And I'm just going to cut this tag off.
And then I'm just going to remove the twine and set that aside because I do plan to reuse it.
But I'm going to clean the top of this, some rubbing alcohol. Make sure that dries down after. I'm just going to take some decoupage napkin from Deco Art. And I like this because it has a sealer in it. And it's a little bit more liquidy than Mod Podge, so it goes on a lot easier as well. Take some cling wrap, make sure it's pressed in there. Now I'm going to tell you, I was not going to be able to pull this up, so you're going to want to be very, very careful and precise when you do this. And if you want to, you can always paint the surface first before you put the decoupage, but I really want this to look vintage and antique by the time I'm done with it. And I want it to look like everything was done in the metal. So we will see how I do at the end of this. Now, being I printed this out on tissue paper, you want to be very careful. I would recommend spraying it with a sealer, but mine's not within reach, so I'm going to try to do this without smearing this paint. And I'm going to avoid going over it multiple times. And as you can, yeah, see it's already starting to bleed, so you got to be very, very light and careful. All right, we will let that dry. Okay, so I've got this rolling pin.
And then I'm just going to take some Crimson and Waverly chalk paint, and I'm just going to paint both the handles.
I'm going to use my heat gun to dry that down. Okay, now I've just got some antiquing wax from Waverly. And I'm just going to take some on a paper towel in that area. I'm going to go ahead and just slightly dampen with some water. If you have a baby wipe, that'll be fine too. I am just going to darken this area where we just painted the red. All right, just going to let that dry. And once that's dry, the next step is we are going to be putting this tissue paper around this. And again, I am not going to paint this because I want it to look as aged as possible. I have me a silicone mat down. I'm going to start by just brushing this tissue paper. And then I'm just going to roll this onto that section, and then it's going to stick. Then we're going to go ahead and take that saran wrap and smooth that out. And I'm just kind of pulling on this piece just a little bit just to get it straightened out, and just do that all the way around. And I did forget to spray my paper with some sealer, so my ink's starting to smear. So make sure that you spray your tissue paper with a sealer first. And I'm actually going to go ahead and do that right now because I found my sealer. And it doesn't take much to dry. But you can see how the red is going through. And make sure your layer you're putting down is not very thick. It doesn't take much to get this stuff to stick. All right, we got that on there. We're going to let that dry. All right, once that's dry, I'm going to take another piece of paper towel, lightly damp it, take some more of my antiquing wax. I'm going to pat a lot of that off because I don't want it to go on too terribly thick. I did go ahead and spray that with a clear matte enamel. And I'm just going to rub that on very lightly, just kind of age it a little bit. Adding more as I feel I want. So making just a little bit darker as I go around.
And I almost forgot about those edges there. So I'm just going to take some of that antiquing wax and I'm just going to go around that.
And then I'm just going to set that aside and we're going to get back to our bottle cap here. And this is where our cinnamon's going to come into play. I'm going to use that and put around this edge right here. I'm going to go ahead and put my Mod Podge in a separate container because I don't want to contaminate that container. I'm just going to go right here around the edges. Going over that paper a little bit, going down the edges as you like. I'm just going to sprinkle some of the cinnamon on it. Probably should have turned my fan back off. Shake it off. And just repeat that process.
And I ended up just finding it easier also to use my fingers instead of trying to sprinkle the cinnamon on top. I just had a lot better control. And once you're happy with the rust appearance, God, you guys, I get tongue-tied every time I do this. I am just going to set that aside to dry and spray it with a sealer. And after you spray it with that sealer, it's really going to look and feel like rust. And then I'm just going to put that twine back on the bottle cap.
And then I've got some Clear Grip Gorilla. I can never say that. Clear Grip Gorilla Glue. Boy, say that 5 times real fast.
And then using that seam that's on that tissue paper that's wrapped around that rolling pin, I am just going to apply my Gorilla Grip glue and hot glue.
Push that down until that hot glue dries. And because I use quite a bit, it'll take just a second, or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5. Just want to make sure it sticks really well. Allowing that Clear Grip glue, you know what I'm trying to say, to adhere at its best. All right, and there we have it. I love this. This would make such a good gift because it's got the recipe to gingerbread cookies on it, and you just pretty much maybe attach a little note that says mix dry ingredients separate, mix the wet ingredients separate, then blend together, and then follow the rest of the directions. But I think that is so freaking cute. I can't wait to hang it up in my kitchen for Christmas. What do you guys think about the gingerbread cookie bottle cap decor? Let me know in the comments. Okay, I've got some wine glasses here that I never use, but I love the shape of them. And I'm just gonna take a paper towel and just kind of wipe this dust off of them. All right, so I'm going to take this styrofoam that I picked up from Dollar Tree. I'm going to trace around the rim of the glass.
And then using an X-Acto knife, I am just going to cut out those circles, and I do end up making 2, 1 for each wine glass.
All right, and you just want it wide enough to where when you put this on, you can just kind of smush it down over it so it gets a nice, good hold. All right, and the next thing I want to do is we're just gonna make like little domes with some Christmas going on in there. Just got one of these little square blocks that you can get a package of from the Dollar Tree. All right, and then I've just got some elephant gray paint here. And I'm just going to paint these blocks in that color. And you can really do this in any color you want. I just don't recommend doing it in a white. And you'll see why here soon.
And then I'm just going to take some red and white twine, and I'm just going to wrap it around that block, just like you would wrap a ribbon around a Christmas package.
All right, we got ourselves a little bitty present right here. And then if you don't want to tie a bow in it, you can always take a sticker, just kind of hot glue it together, and then just take a sticker and just kind of put that on top. Okay, so we are just going to go ahead and decorate these. And I have a bunch of these cobblestone corners from the Dollar Tree. I bought several packs and I just kind of keep them in a little Dollar Tree storage container here. Got, you know, Christmas trees from the Dollar Tree. But I'm going to start with one Okay, I've got a tumbling tower block right here. I'm gonna paint this white, at least the top and the sides. You don't have to paint the bottom. I believe I'm gonna use one of these other trees from the Dollar Tree. I just like them better. I think they're prettier. Hopefully they have more this year. They've had them the last few years, but I think these are just so much prettier. So I'm gonna start by gluing that block. Glue this tree. And glue this present. I've got some other pieces here. Okay, so got our little setup going here. Aren't they so cute? And the next thing is we want to put it all in the glass. Now I've got a bowl here and I have put some of the Crafter Square faux snow in there. It's got the little holographic glitter in there. I've got that mixed with some bath salt and then some of the little faux snow in the beads, the little, you know, the beads that when you have any kind of static electricity around, they just kind of go to it. Yeah, but I've got all that mixed in this bowl and that's what I'm going to use to fill these. And I am going to run some glue right around the rim. Flip that upside down, let it dry, and definitely have like a silicone mat down. Okay, then I just got some red glitter ribbon that I picked up from Hobby Lobby, and I believe I got these last year, maybe the year before. But we're gonna need something to hide this rim where we glued and cover up all that ugliness.
And I'm just going to use some hot glue to attach that ribbon. And I do end up putting 2 strands of ribbon around those rims just to help conceal anything that might be showing if I only used one.
Okay, and the next thing is I've got these little poinsettias that I had picked up. I believe I got it off of a pick from the Dollar Tree. And let's see, I just attached some leaves to them with some hot glue. And I'm just going to place those on the bottom of that stem, just like so. All right, these are finished. Put a candle on top. I am going to be putting probably a red candle on the top of mine. I will not be able to show you that in the finale because my red candles are in storage in the back of a storage room where I am not digging out. So just use your imagination, and here's the finale. Okay, on this one, you're just going to need a pack of LED light set from the Dollar Tree. And then you're going to need 4 packs of the 5-gallon stir sticks. I picked these up at Walmart. When I got these, they were the best price compared to any of the hardware stores. So make sure you check Walmart out for these 5-gallon stir sticks. And what you're going to want to do is make sure you've got the bottom even and measure 17 across, and that's where you're going to want to cut. So you want these to be 17 inches long. Okay, and I'm going to take this out in the garage, and I'm just going to do that on my miter saw, but you can use a miter box or miter saw. Miter saw is definitely easier. All right, then you're just going to want to make sure you sand down those edges. I'm just going to lay these out one on top of another. You just want to make sure you get the ends as even as possible. And these are going to be we'll go with 16 and a half. And I'm going to take 2 of those 3 that we're going to put on the back. And I like to have them 1 inch from the edge. And I'm going to use one of these sticks. And I'm going to place along the edge here just to make sure I have them all even. Just like so. And I'm just going to leave it right there. I'm just going to take a pencil and I'm going to mark just so I know where to place these back down.
And then I'm just going to use some Gorilla wood glue, and I'm going to use some hot glue to adhere those two pieces to the bag.
All right, and then we're just going to take that third one and put it down the center. Here we have a nice, pretty blank surface for a sign. What I want to do next is I want to sand this down. And if I was in the garage, I'd probably just use the electric sander, but I'm not. So I'm just going to sand it down with just a little sander. Make sure it's smooth. Wipe all that dust off. Now here's the stencils I had cut out on my Cricut machine. And I'm going to leave the link to that in Cricut Design Space. I'm going to want to stain this first. And decisions. I would like to use an oil-based color I have. However, I really don't feel like waiting 12 hours before I can get back to this. I'm really hoping to finish this today. So I'm just going to go ahead and do it with cover this with the Antique Wax by Waverly. And then I'm going to dry brush some white over it. And you want to make sure you get the edges also. I am going to go ahead and do the back of mine. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to do a dry brush of some white chalk paint. And you can do as much distressing, as heavy, as light, if any, as you want. Paint the whole sign completely white. I think that would look really good. It's all up to you. And it's just the more white I'm putting on this, the more white I want to put on it. I think it's looking pretty good. I believe I'm going to be using black paint for the letters. So I don't want the sign too dark so you can't really read it. And we're just going to draw that down. Okay, so I did spray it down after the paint dried with some clear matte enamel, and then I just sanded it down with the 220 grit sandpaper just to get it smooth. So now I'm going to work on my stencils, and I will have these linked on Cricut Design Space. And I did get this inspiration off of Pinterest. I had seen a couple different signs very similar, so I just kind of took them and made them my own. And if I could find the picture, I'll link it up on the top of the screen so you can see where my inspiration had come from. But I fell in love with this sign. I have been wanting to make this sign now for probably the last 3 years, 4 years maybe, and I've just never done it. And now that I got my channel, I figure, well, now's as good a time as any, and I can share it with people. Now, to make this easier, I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and cut the top section off with the reindeer and sleigh.
And I'm just going to take some painter's tape, and I'm just going to tape one of those sides down after I've got it even, just so it doesn't move on me. That will just help me make sure it stays straight, because I have the hardest time getting those things straight. And then once you have that first piece laid down, you can go ahead and remove that painter's tape. And then when you're placing that second piece down, you just want to make sure you're overlapping the letters where it's cut down the middle, which happens to be in the M in Christmas. And you just want to line those up the best that you possibly can.
All right, finally got that stencil on.
And I'm going to be using a black chalk paint and a green chalk paint, both in the Folk Art brand. And I'm going to go ahead and start with the black, and you just want to make sure you pounce up and down. Don't go side to side. You don't want that to go under the stencil. And because I put that sealer down first, that will help prevent that paint from kind of soaking into the wood and spreading. And then after I've got that first coat on, the top part's pretty much dry, so I just kind of look at it, and if I want more paint, that's when I'll go ahead and add more paint. And then we're going to do the green. And once that paint's all dry, I'm going to go ahead and grab these LED lights from the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to tell you, those lights are pretty bright. So if you don't want it as bright, you can definitely look for something that's not LED, I suppose. However, I'm going to figure out kind of where I want those lights. I'm going to just kind of test it here and there. It was really hard for me to edit this and show you everything that I thought needed to be shown without making it too long. So I'm just going to drill holes. I will tell you, when you drill the holes, drilling them through the front side gave it a little bit of a cleaner cut, if you will. When I did it from the back, I would have more splintering on the front side. I don't know if that's normal, but that's what happened in my case. So again, I am going to also glue the battery pack on the back. And then I'm also going to be tacking down those lights with just a little bit of hot glue. I kind of run the glue a little bit on the wood and then just push those lights through and just hold them there until that hot glue dries. And once you get those lights in, it is ready. And would you look at this? I absolutely love this. Let me know what you guys think. Also, let me know which one of these 4 is your favorite. And hey, thank you so much for taking the time to watch my video. And I hope you consider hitting that subscribe button. And I look forward to seeing you next time.